Hello, Paul Lennon here again with the 56th version of the taping of his autobiography. I hope you all are well as we are here in Antigua. How did Father Maciel keep his sexual abuse so well hidden? I, like many others, are just one of the witnesses of not knowing anything. I am remembering at the Plaza de las Estrellas Mall in Mexico City, Anzures district, on Saturday, September the 10th, 2005, sitting across the table, Dr. Fernando Gonzalez interviews me about my experiences with the Legion of Christ against the background of pedophilia. He is researching Maciel and Legion abuses and will later publish his great Maciel, the Legion of Christ, unpublished testimonies and documents, not translated into English as yet. I tell him honestly I was never sexually abused in the Legion, nor was I ever approached in an inappropriate way by any member. 2 years after Sanborns, I still must rack my brain to recall one unusual incident. It involved another legionary, initials RC. Coincidence. I was already an ordained priest. During one of my few visits to Rome, we were strolling along the Via Aurelia Nova close to our legionary residence. A woman passed by. I paid only fleeting attention to her. I can only infer from what happened that she was a lady of the night. He says to me, "Ever thought of going off with a prostitute?" I said nothing, no comment. But I thought to myself, what could have caused you to pass a remark like that? Don't you know I have sisters? I love and respect women. Of course I find them attractive, but I don't use them. I forgive you because you are a legionary. One never knows why legionaries do things or why they ask the questions they ask. Maybe you are on a special mission to spy on me, to look for chinks in my armor. What would you have said, thought, or done if my answer had been yes? Was it just your own morbid curiosity? Yours was certainly not the kind of question sanctioned by the myriad of Legion rules, norms, guidelines, and instructions. Entering the Legion at age 17 and 7 months, I admit I was immature mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, naive and perhaps sexually too. However, as the son of a warm and structured home, I had strong relationship with my mother, her only son, and with my father. He and I were boon companions. I did not need Nuestro Padre, Father Maciel, as a surrogate father. I had the privilege of going to confession to Nuestro Padre Maciel for the first time before my religious profession in Salamanca, September 1962. I was 18 years and 10 months old. By then my Spanish, after a year, was good enough. It was suggested to me by my spiritual director and superior, Father Arami, that I make a general confession to Nuestro Padre. This way I would receive special graces through the founder and as the best way of preparing for the religious life. During the relatively uneventful and sheltered life I had lived before entering the holy novitiate at age 17, I had accumulated two sins against purity that troubled my somewhat scrupulous conscience, and about which I felt extremely ashamed. Before entering the Legion, I had unloaded one to a Carmelite friar at St. Teresa's, Clarendon Street, Dublin. In fear and trembling, I unloaded a second one to Nuestro Padre, the man of God. I do not recall any earth-shattering advice or apocalyptic revelation. I felt he was kind. At the end, I kissed the end of his stole as a sign of reverence and gratitude. He may have brushed my cheek with the tassel in a fatherly way. I experienced a great sense of relief because I had been able to get rid of that sin. I am not aware of any advice. Now, I had no sin on my soul. I was free to the sacrament of confession, and I was ready to take on my vows, although the doubts of faith continued to torture me. My interviewer, Fernando, insists, was there nothing, not even the slightest sexual innuendo in this encounter with Father Maciel? To my knowledge, nothing. And you were not aware of any abuse going on around you, as appears from the testimonies of others? Not at all. Taking into account the 24 testimonies of sexual abuse in the 40s and 50s, and those beginning to appear regarding the 60s and the 70s, why were so many of us so totally unaware? Could it be that Father Maciel is a master of the game of secret societies with their isolated concentric circles, with their isolated concentric circles of information and power, Maciel in the middle, surrounded by the first cadre of unconditionals who silently acquiesce to his power. Only the Master knows everything. The unconditionals know more than the following circle, and that like, excuse me, and so on. The victims do not necessarily belong to the inner circle, for it is now clear that those closest to Maciel were used to bring more sheep into the shepherd's fold. They appear within a separate circle, isolated from the community at large, which in turn is totally oblivious to what's going on behind the infirmary door or Father Maciel's sick bay. Reading the chilling descriptions in John le Carré's A Perfect Spy and Solzhenitsyn's Gulag Archipelago regarding secrecy, isolation, and control lead one to such considerations. I don't think I can fairly say that Father Maciel was an indiscriminate sexual predator, though there is no doubt that he had a large harem to choose from for years as undisputed totalitarian leader of the Legion of Christ. There is no reason to believe that all who came within his spiritual radius or halo were potential victims. That said, could it be that the sin I confessed to Father Maciel in that first general confession about being sexually accosted by an Irish Christian brother somehow immunized me against abuse because I knew that he had attempted to abuse me. I knew what sexual abuse was. I was not all that totally innocent and gullible. Or could it be that my conscience was already gelling, thus making me impervious to molding according to this spiritual director's unusual criteria? Had I already gathered sufficient ego strength to avoid enmeshment with the guru? Or had he simply not found me attractive? Maybe I wasn't his type, or my nose was too big. Praise the Lord in any case.